Hello, everyone. So this was a spur of the moment idea that I had when I forget what I was listening to, but I was listening to one of like a podcast, and they started having this between two of the hosts started having this debate about PlayStation, and with everything going on the last few weeks, actually, shit, man, the last what? When was the last time we talked about PlayStation? When we had the fucking showcase last May? Was when you
Yeah,
and I last talked about this?
bro, it's been I can't even that showcase doesn't even feel that
No, it
long
doesn't.
ago, and we're already almost near the end of the year.
I
Holy
know. It's
crap.
fucking wild, man.
Oh my gosh.
So I have Richard with me today.
Yo.
So, first of all, how are you doing?
I'm doing all right now. Just here chilling, waiting to talk shit on modern PlayStation.
So, the idea for this, and I have a at first the idea for this was going to be I guess just kind of shooting the shit and talking about modern PlayStation, but then I started to actually write some notes down, and I thought, well, let's give this some kind of structure. So, what is the main point, I guess, of this conversation is to survey everything that's been going on with PlayStation over the last year and change, and then talk about the present, the future, all the stuff that has to do with the live service, and then we're gonna do a thought exercise at the end that I'm gonna pitch some stuff to Richards and see if he likes it, or maybe he'll pitch something to me that I'll like. So our first stop is that we're gonna recap and talk about what has happened within the realm of PlayStation since May 2023, which was the last time that Richard, and at the time we were joined by Clay, but today's just gonna be Richard and myself. So I'm gonna list some things out that have happened with PlayStation since we last talked about them last year in May, after the what ended up being a an infamous within the PlayStation community, an infamous presentation. I'm gonna go over some of the things that have happened. So I'm just gonna list them off, and then I'll let you pick where you want to start, Richard, because
Of
you're the
course.
guest.
Of
So
course.
so these are the things that have happened since we last talked about PlayStation back in May of 2023. The Last of Us Online got canceled. That was announced
Oh
back
shit.
in December of last year. We
Yes.
had our favorite CEO, Jim Ryan, retire, in quotes, and leave PlayStation earlier this year. Bungie has experienced a lot of trouble, including 2 rounds of layoffs due to overhiring and missing revenue targets, including after the final shape, which, by all accounts, from a lot of Bungie faithful, was an excellent finale to Destiny 2's main arc. Bungie also suffered from multiple project cancellations. There is currently a lot of internal and external skepticism about their next game, Marathon. There's a lot of worry about the direction of Destiny 2, even though now, they've put out a roadmap of what's going to happen between now and 2026. I think that's how far they put that shit out. But there's still skepticism regarding that.
Really? I didn't
And
know about that
oh
part.
yeah, that was announced yesterday, I believe, on the because yesterday was the 10th anniversary of Destiny. So they
Oh
put out this
yeah.
roadmap showing, hey, this is what we're doing between now or summer 2025 and 2026, I believe. So,
Yeah. It was a bunch of celebrations like yesterday.
oh my god. So, and then finally Bungie has it's been revealed for all to see that Bungie has very poor leadership currently, with Pete Parsons being probably the main offender. And next, we have London Studio got shut down earlier this year, and their PvE fantasy game, one of the 12 live services in development, was canceled. We had Fire Sprite going through its own round of layoffs, and their live service, the unannounced Twisted Metal game, got canceled. We had Deviation Games, which was a new partner studio that PlayStation was investing in, that was going to work with them on a new live service in a second party capacity. That was canceled, and the studio was shut down. But some of the key talent secretly got moved from that studio to a new internal studio within PlayStation, including Jason Blundell of Call of Duty Black Ops Zombies fame. And finally, among the negatives, I have one positive among the negatives. So there's one. The final negative is that very recently, Concord, which is the former live service from newly acquired team Firewalk, and that game bombed so badly that it's already been delisted and it's dead. PlayStation basically took that turd and then just swept it under the rug and be like, that didn't happen, and then just sprayed some like Febreze or something to cover the stink.
Like,
I went, oh, that didn't happen. Astrobot,
like
that's the thing we did. We didn't know no Concord. Concord, that doesn't exist.
Like they want us to forget about Concord.
I will never forget about Concord.
I'm not forgetting about Concord. This is something I'm remembering until the day I die. Like I'm gonna laugh it off.
I'm kind of upset that I didn't get a physical copy, because I'm
upset too. Now.
I could have a physical It's like having a physical monument of Sony's failure.
Lost media.
Lost media. That's right. Yeah.
Concord's lost.
But the one success that they've had has been Helldivers 2, which admittedly is a massive success initially at launch. And by this point, I assume it's sold something like 14-15 million copies by this point. Because I know back in spring they announced that it was the fastest selling game ever from PlayStation at like 12 million copies a few months after launch, which is crazy, because I always knew Helldivers 2 was going to be good, and I had a feeling that it would be a moderate success, but I couldn't have imagined that it was going to be as big as it was, despite the state that it's in now, pending that update they're going to put out next week that will supposedly revert back a lot of the controversial decisions that they've been making over the last few months. But as far as, on hand sales, like right out of the gate, $40 a pop, it's been a massive hit for PlayStation. Massive. And I have issues with Helldivers 2 post launch, but I love Helldivers 2. Like the version of it at launch, I absolutely loved it, and it was the best multiplayer game I'd ever played before they started fucking around with the difficulty. So let's talk about Jimmy Boy. So this is now that he's gone, I have a theory, and this initially like sounded like a conspiracy a while ago, but do you think it is possible that he didn't retire, that he was invited to leave?
Yes, I feel like he was asked to leave,
or that his contract wasn't renewed.
I feel like he was asked to leave. Well, I feel like it was a mixture of both. I mean, maybe he did want to retire because I remember you mentioning that he was tired of flying out all the time, and he wanted to spend more time with his family.
Yes.
So, I mean, that I can see that part being true, but then I also feel like he was also asked to leave as well by the board as well, especially regarding all the decisions that's been happening over there.
Yeah, I think they must have known back in, because I think, when was it? I think it was announced in September of last year, that September or October, that he was going to retire.
Yes.
So this was before the cancellation of The Last of Us Online. This was before the shit with Bungie started to go really bad.
It was also before the London studio got shut down a week before. Like they all took a picture with him, and
that's right, the infamous picture.
Yeah, they're like saying happy retirement, celebrating, and then the next week they all got laid off, and I'm like, fuck. I'm like, oh fuck. I'm like, fuck you. he knew they were. He knew the place was going to shut down. He
Yeah,
knew.
he had to have known. But I just too much has happened to where I don't think him leaving before this really started to go bad was just a coincidence. I think they just told him, "Hey, look, we need new blood. This live service thing, behind the scenes is not really working. We're losing a ton of money. But instead of embarrassing you, because you've been with us for almost 30 years, why don't you just retire? You get a nice, golden parachute. You get some stock options with us. You'll be set. You just won't be here." And I think he saw the writing on the wall. He took it, and yeah, he dipped, because now it's like all of his decisions throughout the PS5 generation, even before, I think, are just, they're finally starting to, the seeds are starting to hatch, and they're just rotten vegetables, or they're rotten fruit, or
The
whatever
cracks,
analogy you want to make.
the cracks a lot among the walls are finally cracking.
Well, I would say it's like you plant a garden, and you say to yourself, "Oh, if I do this and this, the plants will end up growing like this." But then now the plants are starting to grow, and they look all fucked up and jagged, and some of them die before they even get a chance to blossom, and it's just a mess. They wasted all this money on nothing, I would say. I would say investing money into the Last of Us Online, and all these insane 12 live services, and the Bungie, oh my god, the Bungie acquisition.
I'm telling you, dude. I've never seen a company go spend this much money on a bunch of live service games. Like, imagine a whole generation with just live service games.
Yeah, well,
Imagine that. And then you look at
it's
all
like
these
that's like
other
my worst
companies.
nightmare.
You look at all these other companies, like they only release like one live service game, like maybe every few years or so,
Yeah,
or at
I
least attempt to.
I think
And
from the beginning, just when they started talking about how we have 12 in the works that are going to be out by fiscal year 2025 or 2026, I think almost everybody just looked at that and just went, "What are you doing? What what is this? Why are you making so many? Why aren't you being more considerate with?" And I get that they initially thought, "Oh, well, of the 12, maybe 2 will really stick, and we'll make a fuckload of money from those." But I think they found out really quickly how risky and expensive it is, both in the short term and the long term, how demanding it is to make and sustain a live service, especially if it's really, really successful, like Fortnite or Genshin Impact or COD Warzone, one of those big ones. I mean, they'll give you limitless amount of money, but there is absolutely a cost to keeping it running, a huge cost, both in terms of finance and manpower.
which
But
is why I was glad they canceled Factions 2, because I don't want to see Naughty Dog freaking
well,
working on a live service game for that many years
I
and
don't
wasting all the
want.
resources.
I, I'm mixed on the way they framed it was interesting. Like, the way Naughty Dog framed it, as if they went, "Oh, we did this for you. We did this so we wouldn't have to become the Last of Us Online studio with all of our resources." But my thought, now that I'm divorced from it after almost a year, my thought is, why couldn't you have just given it to another studio? Like, why couldn't you have just canceled Concord and given it to those guys to run? Not have any say so in the creative element of it, but just have them be a support studio on it. Because I just can't.
Okay, yeah. I mean, I see. I mean, it's not the first time Naughty Dog's like outsourced their IPs
Sure.
to because they've done it with Jack and Daxter, and they've
Yeah,
also done it with
Radiant Dawn worked
Uncharted.
on Dexter. Yeah,
Uncharted as well. That PS Vita game wasn't
yeah.
even made by
Ben
them.
Studio made that one,
Oh yeah, that's right. I forgot about them.
but
Yeah.
I just don't understand why they couldn't have just given that to another team, because it was basically done. From what I understand, that game was almost done. It just needed maybe a few more months of polishing, and it was done. But for some reason, they all of a sudden had this bright idea that they went, "Oh shit! If we release this and it's successful, we'll have to support it." That's like, did nobody there have that thought in the years that they were making this thing? Why did all of a sudden this now come to them? I don't buy it that they all of a sudden realize, oh shit, we're gonna have to support it.
Nah,
I think what
no.
happened is that they initially had something small, but then they were really encouraged, i.e., coerced by Sony higher ups to say, "Hey, if you make this more ambitious and we release it, we could do a full, $40 product and have it be a big live service for us." And then Naughty Dog is notorious for feature creep and scope creep. And if you don't know what that means, what it means is that they have a tendency to start adding things again and again and again and again instead of sticking to a core vision. By the time they're done with all their feature creeping and scope creeping, they have this massive bloated thing. I mean, they've had this problem for years. They've had this problem since Uncharted, where they just don't know when to stop because they have this. They're like, we're the prestige studio. That's just how they've always done it, and it's led to, like, burnout and tons of crunching and key people leaving the studio just because of how unwieldy it is. So I think this problem reared its head again, just in a much more like protracted, bloated way with The Last of Us Online. And I think they realized, oh shit, this is way too big at this point. And and they have some kind of obsessive creative oversight of their stuff, like The Last of Us and Uncharted, where they go, oh well, if we do this, we're basically just going to become a single game studio with this Last of Us Online thing. But again, I just don't understand why they couldn't have just finished the main work on it and given it to somebody else or multiple teams. I I just don't get it. But that wasn't even allowed to come out, and yet you have shit like Concord and Fair Games. That stuff is okay to come out, but not the Last of Us Online, one of the ones that I would have figured on having the greatest chance at being a huge success, just because of how well known the IP is now with the TV show and the two games and everything. It's
Yeah.
baffling to me. I just don't understand.
No, that's true. That's true. To top it out, since you brought up TV shows, even I'm kind of like not. I guess I don't know if I'm shocked or not, but when they announced the cancellation of the Twisted Metal
Mm-hmm.
live service, I was kind of like, huh? But I mean, like, you guys have a TV show running. I mean,
Yeah.
that one was a success, and you guys are gonna and don't get and look. Look, I haven't played Twisted Metal ever, but I know of it, and I would have been down to to even at least try it out, even if it were a live service. But obviously, they ended up canceling that in the end. So I'm like, I really hope that doesn't mean it's the end for Twisted Metal, because I feel like
That'd be a shame.
Twisted Metal would have been fine. Would have probably done well, maybe as a live service, maybe. I mean, it makes kind of sense, but obviously, I wouldn't want them to like fucking butcher it, which I know they
No.
probably will.
Well, it's so two things to follow up with what you said, which I completely agree. Just one, I think Twisted Metal was one of the ones that made the most sense to me as a live service. It was the most obvious, one of the most obvious attempts at a live service for PlayStation. And two, I it was also coming from Fire Sprite, who this is another studio where I don't understand why Sony acquired them, because I don't think they make, I'm just gonna be honest, I don't think they make good games. And like I hated that Persistence game that they made. I've heard nothing but okay or mediocre things about Horizon Call of the Mountain, and their horror game that's apparently an old Sony IP that's been stuck in, I don't know if development hell is the right word, but that's been in the works for a long time now, and we still don't even know what the hell it is. And now their Twisted Metal game got canceled. It's like, I just don't know what they saw in this. I don't know what they saw in Fire Sprite. I don't know what they saw in Haven. I don't know what they saw in Firewalk. I definitely don't know what they saw in fucking Bungie, but I don't know what they saw in Fire Sprite to go, well, let's buy them, only to then scale them down and lay off a bunch of people from the studio. It just doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense to me. Like, there's a lot of acquisitions that they made during this gen, like way more acquisitions they made this gen than like their normal average is. And the only two or the only four I can think of that are actually they're good and they make sense are Blue Point, obviously, Housemark, obviously, Nixus, who I think are a very good PC support studio, very very good, and Valkyrie, who are a really good support team. Those four make sense to me. Nothing else they've acquired, I don't think makes any sense or hasn't worked out, I think, how they wanted. And that includes Fire Sprite with that. I think they bought them just because they were working on Twisted Metal. And they went, okay, well, let's just keep them in-house because, I don't know, fuck it. They're already working on our Horizon game. They're already working on our Twisted Metal game.
I was hoping that one would have been leaked. I would have loved to see some leaked footage of that.
Speaking of acquisitions, the biggest one that has been the biggest just humiliating failure for Sony has been Bungie. I mean, I don't even know where to start with this one, because it is so, hindsight is 2020 and all, but what a fucking horrible acquisition. What a horrible acquisition. What have they gotten out of Bungie? Oh, go ahead, I'm sorry.
Didn't they supposedly the CEO like sold them, like convinced them, like they overpromised some things so that they would get bought out.
That's the rumor, yeah, that they way overpromised.
Yes, that's what I heard. So, but regardless, that's still their fault for wanting to purchase them.
No, PlayStation utterly failed in doing their due diligence to really vet them and see, when even Microsoft looks at you and goes, we'll pass. That should be a huge red flag. When Microsoft passes on wanting to acquire you. That's a huge red flag to me, because Microsoft is willing to acquire anything. But they looked at Bungie. It's been known that they looked at Bungie when Bungie was looking for buyers, and one of the big negatives that Microsoft had in that leaked document during the FTC for Bungie, in their acquisition list, they said they burned through a lot of cash, and that was a big like, no, let's get away from them. But PlayStation saw them and went, oh yeah, let's get you. Like, you will tell us how to do our live services.
We own the makers of Halo now.
Yeah, we don't own Halo, but we own the makers of them, and
or not really, because I know most of them working for 343 now. Or
there are some that went back to 343, yeah, but a lot of the old school Bungie people are gone from Bungie.
Oh yeah, no, yeah, of course.
A lot of the people that made Halo what it is don't work at Bungie anymore. Bungie is one of those that's just it's all in, like, it's just a name at this point. It doesn't have any kind of that DNA from the past.
No, yeah. I agree. I agree with you right there. But I guess just owning the name, I guess, makes I don't know.
I guess
feel cool.
It made for an interesting headline back, because I remember when I first saw that they were buying Bungie. I was at my old job, and I was in the bathroom, and I was at the urinal and I looked at my phone while pissing and I saw the headline, or I saw that thumbnail, that custom thumbnail of the PlayStation logo and Bungie coming together, and I went, "What the fuck?" And I read that they had acquired Bungie for, what was it, $3.6 billion, which, dude, I've said this before, but when I think about the games they could have made for $3.6 billion, it just, it's not like I know I'm not naive enough to think like they could snap their fingers and like 10 or 15 $200 million games can just pop out from that $3.6 billion, but it's like, dude, you could have just kept that and taken 50 to 100 million of that and made a new Sly Cooper, or a new, fuck, Ape Escape wouldn't fucking take 100 million. Take it like 50 million, or all the games, all of the opportunity costs that were just thrown in the toilet and flushed down the drain for $3.6 billion to go to fucking Bungie. It's a level of, I don't think I have the words to quite describe my anger regarding that, because I'm when I think about that, it makes my fucking blood boil. Like, I look like fucking Mr. Krabs when his eye is twitching. It's like, that's me. Whenever I think about Bungie and how they gypped PlayStation into buying them for $3.6 billion, and then just rotted before their very eyes. I mean,
I have no I have no idea. I have no idea what the fuck they were thinking, to be honest.
I do. This is actually the next section, but um, I finally want to talk about Concord, which this is the latest one. Like, all these other ones on here, like London Studio shutting down, I don't really have much to say about that. Helldivers 2 being a big success. That's great, but that's a second party team that's had its own problems beyond that.
One thing, going back to Naughty Dog, though, do you think Neil? No, Neil should have known that they would have had to support this entire. They knew that he probably knew that if Last of Us Factions 2 succeeded, they would have had to like turn into a full on support, they would have to like support it for years at least, because I work in a very touristy area. I met one of the stop motion people, I believe, from Naughty Dog, because he was wearing the Last of Us Part 2 shirt on him, and I asked him how he felt about the cancellation. I remember telling you that, and he told me that he felt pretty sad because he did all the art for it. I also asked him how Neil was doing, and he told me he's doing great, but he's rarely in the office. So because he's working on the TV show as well right now. So, and it's kind of odd because he's like the CEO of Naughty Dog, or like the one in charge.
He's the president, I think. No.
Yes, he's the president, and kind of odd that he's not there as much as you would probably think he was, which that surprised me. I was like, oh. And we were like, I think Hollywood's probably the next thing for him. And he tells me, yeah, it probably is.
Oh, he must be getting a ton of offers to leave Naughty Dog and come work in Hollywood because of the Last of Us TV show.
Yeah, he said that he probably has one more in him, and that's it.
I think The Last of Us Online and all the shit that went on with that, I think that has done a lot of damage to Naughty Dog.
Yeah,
I think this whole thing with The Last of Us Online really just, it's one thing for a project to get canceled. It's another thing entirely for a massive, like, multi-$100 million live service game to be close to getting released, or at least in the final phase of shipping that you've been working on for, I would assume, like 5+ years, to then get canceled. That must be just horrible for both the leadership at Naughty Dog, because they have to answer to Sony as to like what the fuck have we been doing with hundreds of $1 million that you've been giving us, and now we have nothing to show for it. And then also demoralizing for the team that worked on their shit, and now it will never see the light of day again. And it's just, or again, fuck, it wasn't even shown at all. But besides those bits of concept art, but it just, and then the fact that we're probably not even going to see Naughty Dog's next game for, I would
No,
assume maybe 3 or 4. I wouldn't be surprised if it was at the beginning of the PS6 generation that we see Naughty
no,
Dog's next game.
no, I wouldn't be surprised either, especially since he put probably all the resources on this on this multiplayer Last of Us game.
Yeah, what a
Just
waste.
thinking about that, I'm like, holy fuck!
Yeah, it's
I
bad,
I
man.
know I know they were working. I know they're working on a new IP, but the problem is that like, how far are they into it? Like, were
I
they
would
working
imagine
with
only maybe a year or so into it.
maybe a small team was working on it? Obviously not
Maybe. I
big
mean,
enough.
they're always incubating projects, but it's not. I don't
No,
think it's gonna be anytime soon. We see what Naughty Dog's working on
n-
next.
no, no. Yeah, we don't know. Unfortunately, we don't know.
But so before we move on to the next section, let's talk about Concord, because I haven't made a video about this, and I was going to, but I something in my gut told me to just wait, because I realistically by this point, I mean, fuck, it might happen by the time this video comes out, but I can realistically see Firewalk, the team behind Concord, either getting completely gutted to work as a support studio or just shut down entirely by, I don't know, like this week or next week.
No,
I
no,
can see it.
it's got to be shut down. It's probably gonna end up being shut down. Think about it. They in their statement they said they're looking at other, I guess, sources or resources or other options for the game.
I don't believe them.
But no, especially since they already removed the game from people's digital libraries already, who probably don't even have access to it anymore. It's like the writing's already on the wall for them already.
I,
Like they're like I have like it's super obvious that they're gonna get shut down.
well, I don't know about shut down, but I know Concord's never coming back. Not even as a free to play game. Do I think Concord is coming back?
It's still being presented in the Amazon TV show.
Well, it's the IP is the IP has too much stink on it at this point. Even if you were to bring it back as a free to play game, it's like, so what? Okay, it's free to play now. So does that translate to people spending money on microtransactions in the cash shop? I really doubt it. And if that doesn't happen, what's the point of making it free to play? You're just throwing money at an empty hole. Which, I mean, Sony's already done that this generation.
I
But
wouldn't even want
I
to
mean,
risk it after how much money they lost.
no, I would just cut my losses. With
Yeah,
this is why I said, like, shut them down. I know that sounds very dire, but I think just severing the cord as soon as possible with Firewalk is gonna be for the best, because there's also no way Sony is ever going to greenlight a new project from this team. There's
no,
no way that if they
no,
do, they're even dumber than I think they are.
no, yeah. Now, obviously, I know losing your job sucks, especially in today's economy and with a shitty ass job market. But holy
I
fuck! Like,
I
I already know that this is bound to happen.
I feel bad for select people within Firewalk, like the people
Yes,
that worked on
I do too.
the
I do
people
too.
that worked on things like the, I would not the art, but the realism, I guess, of the assets, where it's the facial tech and the motion capture. All of that is good in Concord, but I would not shed a single tear if the art department were fired, or the leadership were fired. I would not. Whoever are the leaders at Firewalk, I don't think they should ever be allowed to run a studio ever again. I think it's undeniable at this point that Concord is the biggest first party failure in PlayStation history. Maybe
Yeah,
the
so
maybe the biggest, as far as how much was put into it. I would say it's in the running for maybe the biggest failure in video game history, as far as
that's
how much was put into it, as far as the marketing and the game and the acquiring the team and retention bonuses and the stupid episode on the Amazon show and all those stupid CGI vignettes that don't do anything, that were just useless, and all this other shit, supporting the team, supporting the electricity on the fucking building. That's stuff we need to think about. And then they release it and it sells approximately 25,000 copies from what people say. That's
and
a
they,
disaster on a level I've never seen before for a
and they
AAA game like this.
and they had to recall even the physical copies. Apparently, they're even paying all the retail stores back as well.
Yeah.
That like it's that bad.
Oh,
And just
it's
and
horrible.
when you said that this is might be the biggest video game flop ever, maybe in
Yeah.
video game history, I thought about that too. But then I'm like, is it really as bad as the as that one? It was like there's that really bad ET game for the Atari years ago.
ET sold more copies than Concord and didn't cost anywhere near as much to make.
That okay, that is true.
And
That
that
is
is like,
true.
I'm talking about not exactly cultural impact, because ET caused the crash in the 80s, but
It was one of the reasons why.
one of the big reasons it caused the crash. That was one of the straws that broke the camel's back. But I'm talking about in terms of just sheer finance, because Concord, I would say at bare minimum, Sony put in $100 million on that game. And I did the math. You think about like 25,000 copies, even if everybody bought the $60 edition, that's like a piss in the ocean as far as getting your money back. That's just, that is a failure on a level I've never seen before in my life for a AAA video game. And I've seen plenty of AAA failures. I've never seen one as horrible as Concord. And again,
No,
I want to say
I've
that
never
fucking
seen this that
that
badly.
and I want to say too that the reason this failed, because I've seen so many horrible takes on this from people who should know better. Concord failed because of apathy. Concord failed because nobody cared. It wasn't because of the fucking pronouns or how horrible the DEI shit. Like, it had nothing to do with that. Maybe a small subset of people didn't pick it up because of that, which is, it's fine. That's well within their right to do so. But the
No,
reason
yeah.
Concord died is because of sheer unadulterated apathy. No one, literally, almost nobody cared about Concord. And the
I
people
didn't
that
give a
could
fuck.
have cared with that CGI trailer at the State of Play a few months ago, a lot of that enthusiasm just went right out the window when they found out it was a 5v5 hero shooter.
Well,
That
yeah.
was such a horrible mistake.
Nobody wanted to pay for that when they could go play Overwatch or
Well,
Valorant.
this is another, I guess we might as well get into it. So the next section, sorry. The next section is, how did this go wrong? So I want to list the reasons, what went wrong with the live service initiative with PlayStation. And
Mhm.
I'm going to list some reasons, and I'll let you pick where you want to start and we'll go from there. So I have number one reason that it failed: arrogance and entitlement on Sony's part.
Mhm.
Bad first impression with the 2023 showcase. Like, a
Mhm.
really bad first impression. Bad
Mhm.
leadership and a lack of creative vision.
Mhm.
Desperation due to Microsoft's acquisitions, especially not Bungie, sorry, especially with Activision Blizzard. And
Mhm.
finally, horrible instincts on whoever's making these decisions there.
Mhm.
So, where do you want to start with this?
Let's desperation.
Yes.
Because Microsoft was buying Activision Blizzard.
Yes.
Like this was an impulse buy. I guarantee you. Like Jimmy Boy probably couldn't handle. He probably couldn't handle it. He's like, no, I have to buy this. I have to buy this. No, no. He probably tried resisting for a bit, but nope, he couldn't wait. He just did it.
The weird acquisition started after Microsoft announced their intent to buy ABK. That's when we started getting things like they bought Bungie, they bought Haven, they bought Firewalk, they bought. Or I think actually no, Fire Sprite I think was before. I think they were bought in 2021. So most of the weird acquisitions that didn't make sense, that was done after ABK's, they were going to get acquired by Microsoft, because they saw that they went, oh shit, they're going to get Call of Duty. We may lose access to COD, and that's an enormous moneymaker for us. They're going to get access to all these Blizzard games as well that print money. We need to get our own live services out there and make up for the possibility of lost revenue with these games. That's when they started doing this. And I don't think it was a coincidence at all that the Bungie deal went through finally for them once Microsoft said, like, oh, we're going to buy Activision Blizzard. And I think it was just a panic, a string of really bad panic acquisitions. I think there are two levels of, I would say, willful ignorance on PlayStation's part in regards to this whole live service thing. I think PlayStation willfully ignored the flat out, very vocal rejection of this live service initiative from PlayStation's hardcore audience.
Yes.
They announced this, and people said, no, we don't want this. A lot of people said, no, we don't want this. Your plan sucks. And then Sony said, well, you're getting this anyway. And they really tried to force the issue with them. They tried. It's like when you're trying to feed a baby like a carrot, and it doesn't want it. It's like at some point the parent is just trying to force that spoon into their mouth to feed them the fucking carrot. And that's what I imagine Sony doing with its hardcore audience with this live service shit.
That, or they just expected us, I guess, like, I don't know, give one of them a chance.
I guess they just didn't care what the hardcore audience thought, because they saw how much money all these live services make, and they said, yeah, we want the casual audience. Your hardcore audience, you're not enough anymore. We're spending all this stupid, insane amount of money on these single player games, but you're not enough anymore. It's almost like they created a problem to try to sell us a solution, or force a solution onto us that we didn't want.
Well, it's not just that. I think they just expected us to, I guess, I don't know, maybe just give one of them a chance because, it's the PlayStation brand, and I guess accustom us to buy the next one constantly.
That's I have that later actually with the
but that is not, but that wouldn't have worked anyways.
No.
On the core audience.
I guess it's over expansion. That's what I'll say, that it was a huge over expansion. But so the second level of willful ignorance with this whole thing is that, okay, so PlayStation says, too bad, you're getting live services. They could have said, oh, if they really were smart, there is a laundry list of live services that hardcore PlayStation audiences would have found acceptable. That it's like you don't need to go very far. All you have to do, you could go to fucking ChatGPT and type, what are 10 live services that PlayStation hardcore audience would accept. I guarantee you it would spit out the most obvious fucking things on the planet. Like Killzone, Resistance, PlayStation Home, SOCOM, Warhawk, bring back PlayStation All-Stars, do like a kart game, something weird, something that's, faithful to Twisted Metal, for fuck's sake. We talked about that earlier. Last of Us Factions 2. The list is right there. It's easily accessible. Any dummy with a computer and a fucking half a brain has access to the list of live services that PlayStation hardcore audiences would have accepted. But instead of doing that, PlayStation maybe took a few with Twisted Metal and The Last of Us Online, and I'll put Helldivers 2 on the list as well, because that's an obscure PlayStation IP. Everything else that has been a part of this live service initiative, it's like, where is the imagination? Like Concord, fucking hero shooter. Okay, fair games. You have the PvP VE heist shooter that looks like Payday meets fucking Watch Dogs. Like, okay. You have Marathon, which I mean they didn't incubate to be fair, but they bought into it. So this is basically a PlayStation Live service in my eyes. They looked at Marathon and they went, "Oh yeah, we want that." It's like, okay. It's just their approach to live services is so anti-PlayStation that it's blindingly obvious why people rejected it. Because it's none of these live services, or at least the few that we have remaining, the only one is Horizon, the multiplayer Horizon game, and even I have very extreme skepticism of that now, which I'll get into that later.
I don't even want the Horizon
I do,
multiplayer game.
I do because it's the only one of the bunch now that makes sense to me as a
I mean,
PlayStation Live service.
I'll be real with you. I'm kind of exhausted for playing Horizon after Forbidden West. I just like you know
Yeah,
me, Adam. I'm getting. I'd rather play smaller titles now than play bigger titles now. You know me.
Horizon's a very weird franchise where like I like it, but I don't have any kind of like real passion for it. If that makes any sense.
Yes, that's exactly how I feel as well.
It's good, it's fine, it's pretty, but it doesn't have that, I guess for lack of a better term, that je ne sais quoi that God of War has, or Uncharted had, or The Last of Us has, or Astrobot has, or Helldivers has. It just doesn't have that. I don't know. It's just such a. I don't know how to put it into words. It's just more like a feeling I can't really convey about Horizon. And it was more so established after Forbidden West. I think if they had stopped with Zero Dawn, which they couldn't have because Zero Dawn was a big success, I thought Zero Dawn was really good and really unique. But then there's just something about Forbidden West that just I can't quite put my finger on it. That just doesn't have that same spark that I thought for despite all the improvements that it made from Zero Dawn, there's just something lacking about it. But I think that concept of a Monster Hunter style game in the Horizon universe, that could work.
Okay, that could work.
That could work. A more casualized version of Monster Hunter, but I don't know if, and I guess this is the other one of the other points I brought up with what went wrong with the live service initiative is that I just think whoever is making the calls as far as these live services, they just have terrible instincts. They just it's you could go to fucking Harvard MBA, you could fucking have a business degree. If your instincts are bad as far as what is going to hit, I mean, you suck. It's like your degree means nothing to me if you don't have that instinct of what's going to hit. If you don't have the people that they have at PlayStation for a long time have been very good at having their finger on the pulse as far as what people really like. But that has been single player games. Live service is an entirely different ball game. It's an entirely different fucking sport. And whoever they have right now, or the people that they have had to have their fingers on the pulse, they're getting fucking paid millions of dollars to have their fingers on the pulse as to what's going to hit as far as live services, they need to go. They fucking suck. And again, I think Helldivers 2 was really lucky for them. But everything else, I think their calls have just been terrible. Their instincts are just bad. And their instincts have been so horrible that I'm starting to seriously have doubts about even the things that make sense to me. Even the one remaining live service that they have that I find interesting. Even now after Concord and all that shit, I'm very, very skeptical of that.
Let it go. Let it go already.
It can't.
Shit.
They're too. This is the thing, is that they're too caught up in this Western fucking like publisher mindset. They're not a Japanese company anymore. I don't care what people say. PlayStation is not a Japanese company anymore. They're an American company, or they're a very Western focused company.
Western influence
company, and how they do business is very different compared to a lot of Japanese companies. And I'm not saying Japanese companies are these like sacred cows. They're the fucking amazing business people. They make stupid decisions too. Look at fucking Square Enix. Square Enix has been making fucking stupid decisions for the last like 10 years. But
oh yeah, no, they have.
But I guarantee you that if you were to give the control back to Japan, it would be better at this point.
So why don't they give them back
It's
control?
too late. It's too late. They make too much money on having a focus on the West, and it's just
I think it'll have to calm down at some point.
I don't think so.
I mean,
I think
look,
it's just too late at this point.
I
Honestly,
mean, I mean, I would like them to just calm down on the big triple A titles already. I
this is
mean,
the other thing that
or
that
just
annoys me.
or just size down on the
Yeah.
games.
Well,
I've been telling you this as well.
that that to me is the real answer to this problem. So, one of the takes that really annoys me about this whole live service thing is that PlayStation need to have live services so they can pay for their single player games. And to me, the answer is not making live services. If they have a problem with how they're spending money on single player games, then the solution is to cut down on what they spend with the single player games or focus on making smaller titles. And I guarantee you, I can go on for hours about this. There are so many areas in these big single player games that they make that probably cost a stupid amount of money or are so unnecessary that they could cut, and it would not influence the game in a bad way whatso fucking ever. It would make it better because it would be more lean and efficient. It would make for a better game. But for some reason, PlayStation, over the last generation and change, they've just got it in their head that it's like, oh, they've cultivated this audience that just demands this insane amount of fidelity. That they're like, we're the premium single player studio. That's like been their thing since Uncharted 2. That's the thing that got the ball rolling on this was Uncharted 2.
Yeah, but I feel like PS4 era was when they finally like realized that they. I feel like that's when they began thinking that they'd be okay with just doing, I guess, story-driven big single-player games
I would say
for
the
constantly.
second half of the PS3 generation and most of the PS4 generation is when they had the balance right. Is when they had both the weird niche stuff that didn't really sell all that well, but it provided some unique flavor, and then the big AAA massive single player stuff. I think they had that balance just right in the latter half of the PS3 era and most of the PS4 generation. It
Which
wasn't
brings
until the
me,
second half of the PS4 generation where things started to take a turn.
it's funny because today today I saw a video. So Sakurai, he made a video saying telling, I guess, developers to be considerate of the time gamers put into your game as well, because he literally said a game can have so many hours, can require so many hours to beat. People tend to lose interest, I guess, even after like a few hours, because they know it takes forever to beat a game, because you have to dedicate so many hours into it. Or
Yes,
you could either
completely
do
agree.
that, or you could just create a smaller title and have fun with it.
Yeah,
And he literally said he literally said that even he literally said you play a short game and it's more memorable that way. And I'm like, yeah, I agree with
yeah.
that. It's much more easier to remember a shorter title than it is with a bigger title, because bigger titles, like, I just feel like you're grinding a
And you
lot.
have to be damn talented to make a massive game be extremely consistent and memorable as far as quality. You have to be on the level of like a Rockstar or an Atlas to do
Well,
that.
well, yeah, FF7 Rebirth was able to do that for me to an extent, because like when I started playing the game, I could not put the controller down for a bit. When I know a game, it can't. When I know I'm playing like a big AAA title in which I'm struggling to put the controller down, that's when I know they got my
Yeah,
attention
that's a sign.
already.
Big sign.
Already. But even so, like when he made that video, this is the part where, like, even like when I've been telling you, and I've been saying for a while already, like the older I get, the more I'd rather just play smaller titles, because one, they don't take that long to beat, they're much more memorable,
Mm-hmm.
and also I would like to have more time to also play some of the stuff that's in my back catalog as well.
Yeah, talking about smaller games actually ties in really well with our next segment. But the last thing I want to say in regards to PlayStation and what went wrong is that I think right now PlayStation, as far as the creative side of it, has a lack of vision. I think PlayStation really needs somebody like a Miyamoto in there right now. Somebody who, while not a big, Miyamoto famously says that like outside of Nintendo, he doesn't really play video games. He does other things.
He plays his guitar
Yeah,
mostly.
plays his guitar. He does other shit. But that man knows video games inside and out, and he has a vision. He has a vision similar to like the late great Iwata. He knows games inside and out. You need somebody like that inside of PlayStation. And I think they had somebody like that at one point with Shuhei Yoshida. They had Sean Layden in there, pulling the strings.
Isn't Shuhei Yoshida still there?
He is, but he's working just exclusively with the indie part of PlayStation, which is good. I'm glad he's still there because he's great. He is an extraordinarily talented man. With he has a finger on the pulse. He's had his mistakes, obviously, but that man has his finger on the pulse. I just don't think they have anybody like that at PlayStation anymore. And Herman Hulst, I'll say this, I don't think Herman Hulst is anywhere near a Miyamoto or a Shuhei Yoshida or hell, even a Sean Layden.
No.
And I miss when PlayStation had people at the helm that understood the value of smaller, more niche, weird things.
Andrew House.
He did, definitely. I mean, fuck, he was the one that really pushed, partnering up with Kojima when Kojima left Konami. Can you imagine any other, like, if Kojima went to any other publisher and said, I want to make a FedEx delivery simulator game in a post-apocalyptic world, and it has a multiplayer component where you get more points for being nice to people. Can you imagine any publisher other than PlayStation at the time looking at that and going no or going yes? I don't see that. That's insane for like, I don't even think I would have greenlit that if I'm being honest. Like, Kojima's a big name, he's a legend, but that concept, it's like, what the fuck? But Sony saw something in that. And to his credit, Herman Hulst was a big part of that as well, because he gave Kojima the source code for their engine that they used for Horizon Zero Dawn and said, hey, we really are excited about working with you. Here's the literal fucking source code for our Decima engine. That's a huge sign of respect. And I'll give him credit for things like that, but I just don't think he's what PlayStation needs right now. Speaking of smaller games, I'm gonna pose a question to you, Richard. And before I give my answers, I want to hear your thoughts. So, what should PlayStation's current and long-term strategy be?
Long-term and current strategy be?
Let's start with current. What can they do to be better?
What can they do to be better?
Mm-hmm.
First off,
like if you were in charge.
If they're still working on their bigger single-player games right now, I'm okay. I'd let them finish it. Everybody else that was working on a live service title,
you're fired.
Well, not necessarily. Firewalks for sure. Firewalks for sure gotta go. If I was a higher up, unfortunately, I'd have to let them go. Unfortunately, I'm sorry, but
that team provides nothing of value.
No,
I know that sounds cruel, but that's just, they just do not provide anything of value at this point.
I'd also ask, I don't know, maybe have the bigger well-known studios like maybe Naughty Dog, Insomniac, or Sucker Punch have a small group, have a small team. I don't know how many people are employed at those studios, but maybe have a small team work on smaller titles.
Hmm.
I mean, look at Astrobot, which is right now selling well. Only had what 60 employees work on that.
65 core employees. I mean, there. I mean, I watched all the credits, and there was a fuckload of people that worked on that game. But as far as Team Asobi themselves, it's 65 people, or
Yes.
about 65 in less than 4 years too, which is
Yes.
amazing.
Yes. So I don't know, maybe have small size teams like that work on
Yeah.
that as well to fill in the gaps while we wait for the bigger AAA titles
Hmm.
to come out. And then obviously, I don't know, maybe open up a studio to, I don't know, work on the older IPs as well. Bring those back as well. That's personally what I would do. I mean, because I've been telling you for a while as well. Like I kind of saw this coming maybe years ago because I was like,
Oh, for sure.
if they're gonna keep making big AAA games all the time, constantly, it's like because I saw the gaps. I was like, man, this is why it's taking them forever to release first party titles because throwing away billions of dollars on games that take years to make.
Yeah.
And this is why we've had a drought. We've had several droughts on the PS5 already so far.
I think part of that drought too is just because so many of the live service projects got canceled.
Yes, that too. I do not know
Because I
for sure.
guarantee you, Naughty Dog would have been ready to drop Factions 2 by this point. It probably would have been out by this point already.
And and try to bring back some of the Japanese influence back, which I don't know how long that would take because it's because that's the thing with when you're running a corporate business, like when you fill up a company with the same kind of people with the same mindset,
This becomes a
with
big circle jerk.
that and it's kind of hard to shift it back to what it once was.
Yeah.
I mean, you take a look at Disney, for example.
Oh,
Like
Jesus Christ.
Disney right now is in a shithole right now. Like it's hard for them to even to like shift gears back to what it once was because of the kind of people that it's filled with right now. So but at least everything that I said, I mean, that's what I would do. I mean, I want to see more smaller titles like Astrobot,
Oh, my
especially.
God.
And I know it's selling well right now. And I actually saw a post. Somebody said that literally after playing Astrobot, I think I wouldn't be surprised if people are looking into that classics catalog and trying to download some of those older titles. It's kind of like the Smash Bros. Kind of advertising tactic that they did with Astrobot. Like Smash Bros, for example, they're promoting a bunch of IPs, not just from Nintendo history, but from like several like third-party publishers. And I mean, it gets people to wonder about the games that these characters are from. I mean, that's how I found out about like Earthbound and Mother because when I saw characters like Ness and Lucas for the first time, I always wondered what game are these characters from?
Hmm.
And I looked into them, and I was just fascinated by it. And and because of if it weren't for their inclusion, like people like me, wouldn't have caused like this huge like fan base in the West or even popularized it because games like Earthbound didn't even sell well when it originally came out. But then as time went on, the whole West wanted to experience it, including myself. And just to see the demand for it, like during the Wii U era, that I was excited for. Like I was seeing all the posts everywhere. I like of all the things that people were demanding for, I did not expect that one day, and I was like, oh my gosh, it's actually happening. Uh, and yeah, it was they released compared to all virtual console titles, it was released like more pricier than the other ones, but I was okay with it. I was like, we finally get to experience this. Finally.
It's
So
free
I
advertising. Well, not
yes,
free, but you get my point.
yes. So that's what I see in Astrobot as well.
Well, it's like
They're
an interactive
advertising.
museum, basically.
Yes, that's why. And I'm like, yes, this should get people interested into PlayStation's history. And I don't want to hear any more dumb shit from all the higher ups saying that they don't have any freaking IPs,
Oh
because they
God.
do. They
Yeah.
have a big ass catalog. And
And-
and I didn't grow up with PlayStation at all that much, unfortunately, as a kid, and I didn't really jump onto the PlayStation like fan base until the PS4 era. But even looking through their entire catalog from the years prior, like I know I would have been down to like even give those games a chance as well. And the fact that I still have no access to them, a bunch of these titles
oh, it's
makes me sad.
maddening. It's maddening.
Yes, it makes me sad. I'm like, and when Sly Cooper got released, of course I was gonna buy that. I didn't buy it immediately because, well, I was playing something else at the time, but I eventually bought it, and I was like, and I loved it. It was short. I mean, but I enjoyed it. I got my $10 worth of purchase, and I hope they release. I hope they re-release the other titles eventually.
I'm sure they will because so one thing that was really interesting and cool to see is that I forget which month it came out, but when Sony released their monthly charts, like their top 20 charts for their games that they do on the blog, Sly was number 20 one on the month that it came out. That's enormous for a game that is 20 years old and is an inferior mod or ported version compared to the PS3 HD version, and people still bought it enough in droves, even though it's available as part of the subscription service for premium. It is still number 20 on the charts for that month. That's
Yes,
incredible. If I were at PlayStation, I would look at that and go, that's interesting. What can we learn from this?
yes, absolutely.
So my answer to that question, I think, is pretty obvious. For people who know me, I think the things that I would do immediately in the current term are I would refocus on single player. I would try to get away as much as possible from this gung ho live service initiative. I would not only would I refocus on single player, I would focus on smaller titles, like we talked about. I would also focus on dormant IP in genres that they haven't touched in a while, like Sly Cooper for stealth platformers, or fuck like Wild Arms or Legend of Dragoon for
Bring back
JRPGs,
Bring back Parappa.
or bring back Parappa. Just the Herman Hulst is still going on about that line about how we need to embrace genre diversity within our portfolio. And it's like, dude, when you say genre diversity, I completely hear you, but I think our definitions of genre diversity are two very different things. Because I think his version of genre diversity is something like Concord or Fair Games. I don't think it's something like Sly Cooper or Legend of Dragoon. And what's
No,
so annoying is that there are so many people that talk about how, oh well, if they were to bring these franchises back, they wouldn't make money. First of all, like, why the fuck do you care if all of these games end up making money for PlayStation? Who gives a shit? Like, is it your job to worry about the finances for PlayStation? What the fuck? Like, what are we talking about here? Like, are we like bean counters, or are we players of games? I don't give a flying fuck what PlayStation thinks will maximize their revenue. If I gave a fuck about what maximizing their revenue would be for PlayStation, I would be on Twitter defending the fucking $700 PS5 Pro. I don't give a fuck. I don't give a fuck about Sony maximizing their value. Like, fuck them. I don't care. I just want them to make cool shit. It's a very simple thing. You make cool shit, I give you my money.
I
And
mean
right
the
now, they're really lacking in the making cool shit. Astrobot is an exception, not the rule right now. And if I were at PlayStation, I would be looking at Astrobot and being like, this is maybe what we should be doing. Now,
They
I'm
should
not.
go back to their lane.
Yeah, stay in your fucking lane. Know your audience and stay in your fucking lane. So I reject this notion, like I mentioned earlier. I reject this idea that these live services need to exist in order to bankroll its single player games. Because PlayStation's spending on single player games, if it really has reached this point where it's so ludicrously expensive to make these, that they need fucking live services to help pay for them, then the solution is to dramatically rein in the scope and technical prowess of these games. So, take for example, Horizon Forbidden West. Does it really impact the fun of the game if Aloy has peach fuzz on her face and body? Does that matter at all, having her having hair follicles and peach fuzz and shit on her face and body? Does that make the game more fun? No, exactly. Does it make the game more fun in Spider-Man 2, where you play as Peter Parker and pick up literal garbage in his apartment? Does that make the game more fun? Does that sell you more on the fantasy of being Spider-Man?
No.
No, it's a waste of money. It's a waste of time. And did you, in Horizon Forbidden West 2, I always think about that section where Aloy is looking at all those famous paintings in that one lady's like hall or something. That whole sequence to me is just like as interesting as it was at the time. When I look back on it, I think to myself, what was even the point of that? What did that do that couldn't have been done by something else in the game? Because I that would have been so expensive to get the rights to those paintings and to animate that whole sequence and to pay for the voice acting of it, and it's just why is this necessary?
And the Anger Boda part.
The Anger Boda part that needed to go on for 2 fucking hours of you riding a yak and collecting fruit and getting paint. Did that really need to be as long as it was to sell me on the relationship between Atreus and Anger Boda? No. All these games have all this fucking fat and fluff on them that could easily be trimmed out to create better and more cost-efficient games. We don't need things like fucking Fair Games and Concord because some asshole at Insomniac thought to themselves, wow, you know what really is fun about a Spider-Man game? Picking up garbage and riding a bicycle. Like, what the fuck are we doing at these studios? Why can't they just be more efficient? Why does live services have to be the solution to these problems? So problems, by the way, that they themselves created by cultivating this audience that demands the highest possible visual fidelity. This is their problem. They did this. So I don't want to hear it that PlayStation needs these live services to bankroll their fucking stupidly expensive single-player games. I don't want to hear it anymore. I'm fucking tired of it.
No, they don't. And I'm pretty sure even though maybe even smaller titles probably can't, I mean, that they can still profit off of them.
Yes.
I mean, that's
fucking Astrobot, for fuck's sake.
It's not gonna make a gigantic like shit ton like $billion extravaganza, but they're still gonna be making profit.
Some of the most successful games on the planet have graphics that are like decades old. You look at fucking Minecraft. You look at Stardew Valley, one of the most successful games of all time, and it's gorgeous. And it doesn't go for this high fidelity bullshit. It's just beautiful pixel art. You look at fucking Balatro, that has sold over 1 million copies. And it's a rogue-like poker hand game. Over 1 million copies. That. Reprioritize your shit, PlayStation, for fuck's sake.
Yes, let me play these titles.
So, and then let me play devil's advocate for a sec, because I'm combining like my fantasy stuff with what realistically I think they're gonna do. because they found themselves in this hole to where they're still gonna try to make live services. That's gonna happen. I hate to say it. It's just it is what's gonna happen. They're not gonna be as gung ho about it anymore, obviously. But if I were them, and if I got a directive from Hiroki Totoki that's like, you need to make more live services, then I think PlayStation is going to need to dramatically rethink how they market and release them. Because I think one of the big reasons that Concord failed as well is because they tried to kind of dictate to the PC market what's what as far as multiplayer. And they came in with this really just sheer arrogance about how, oh, we're PlayStation. We're going to be on PC with no early access, no free to play. Our shit is so good that it's going to be worth that $40 premium price tag. They're thinking about live services in the same way they think about their single player games. And they're two entirely different things. They're worlds apart as far as how you market and release them. And PlayStation found that the very hard way with Concord. Now, you could make an argument that, oh, well, Helldivers 2 was $40 and that was a massive success. Helldivers 2 was unique. I have a video in the works. The video that I was initially going to release this week was all about how it was examples of games that embrace their niche markets and have gone on or might go on to have big success. Helldivers 2 isn't one of those games on the list, but it is a game where it looked at a niche, it looked at people that weren't being served and said, here you go. And the people that were then served were happy. And then those people went on and told their friends about it. And then those friends bought a copy, maybe, and really enjoyed it and got their friends to buy a copy. And so on and so forth until word of mouth, until they rode the fucking sales train to about 14 to 15 million copies of Helldivers 2 sold right now. Fucking Helldivers 2 could shut down tomorrow, and it still would have been a massive success for PlayStation because they attached the $40 price tag. At bare minimum, by the way, because there is a $60 version you could buy, and there's a $20 upgrade thing you can do, which I did, by the way, because I love Helldivers 2, and I wanted to get that battle pass. So, they need to embrace things like early access and free to play, and they need to be more open with the community about what they want. So if I were PlayStation, I would send out surveys. I would just be open. I would just drop this. I know that the comparison that you guys find comical is the Willy Wonka thing, but they are so much like Willy Wonka to where they hide in their fucking factory and then they don't come out until they have something to say. And then they come out and they think, oh, look at us. We have our rooms that might have something in it at some point. Like the room. See you later. And then they just lead them out and that's it. The gates close again. And Astrobot to me was like showing everybody the Chocolate River room from Willy Wonka. That is something that I felt like was more than worth the wait to learn about. But these live services, you can't behave like that. You can't behave like this secret, oh, look at we're hiding what Ghost of Tsushima 2 looks like until maybe 9 to 6 months until launch. You can't do that with these live services. That's not how this works. And Sony trying to come in and dictate to the market about what's what got fucking profoundly, horribly rejected. So if I were them and wondering what the hell I should do with Fair Games and Marathon, I think they need to dramatically rethink how they're going to do it. They cannot be treating those games like they're single-player games. It's not the same thing at all.
So no, yeah, I agree. Or if they want to be
my
less
little
risky.
diatribe about this shit.
How many live service games are they working on right now? Now that a lot of them canceled, they have like one or
that's
two.
A good. Hold on, I have a list actually, because I'm a fucking dork. I have a list on Google, doing my Google Docs about the live services. So besides everything that has been officially announced, I have, not including MLB The Show either, because that's an annual thing. That's technically a live service. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And these are things that they have described themselves as live services or things that I assume are going to be live services. 9. So they have 9 in the works right now.
9 or some or 9 that haven't been announced
No,
yet.
no, they're a mix of things that have been announced or things that we know about through job listings and stuff like that.
I don't want any
Do you
more.
want the full list? I can give you the full list that I have so far to the best of my ability.
You can, but gosh damn, I don't want any more of this shit. I bought a PS5 for their single player stuff. Come on.
So we have Fair Games, which is the obviously it's from Haven. We have Marathon from Bungie. I guess Destiny 2 kind of counts, but like I didn't include it on this list.
Destiny 3 is in trouble.
Well, Destiny 3 doesn't even exist.
I
So,
wouldn't be surprised if that was in the works and got.
well, then there's the Horizon multiplayer project. There's a second Horizon game, that an MMO from NCSoft.
Oh my
There's
gosh.
there's a live service game from that Neon Koi mobile studio. That's another acquisition that I'm like, what the fuck are you guys doing? Where they bought that for a mobile live service? Are you fucking kidding me? And then they have
Mobile live
another,
service.
yeah.
So like stuff like they're trying to make their own league of
I
Legends
don't
kind of
know.
style.
I don't know what they're doing.
Pokemon Unite.
All I know is that it's an action game that's a live service that they're working on. And then we have
Okay.
the live service from Media Molecule, which I don't know exactly what that means, but they've described it like a live service. We have that Jason Blundell project that they gutted and poached the key talent from Deviation to come work on within PlayStation. I have no idea what the hell that is, other than Jason Blundell and some of the Deviation people are involved. There's the there's the game from Ben Studio that has been described as some of the open world elements of Days Gone with a live service element to it, which
Ew.
okay, yeah, I know this is gonna piss people off. I think Days Gone fucking sucks. So I'm anytime I see that one asshole that used to work on Days Gone bitch about it, the happier I am it got Days Gone 2 got fucking rejected. Days
Oh,
Gone
the guy.
sucks. I'm
Oh,
sorry.
the guy that are you talking about the guy that got complained that Days Gone was referenced in
Yeah,
Astropod?
that fucking prick.
And he got pissed that that's what they accepted it
Dude,
as. And I'm like, fuck you. I'm
yeah,
like,
shut up.
be
I'm
appreciative
so
that people at
tired of
least.
these. This is a whole nother thing. I'm so fucking tired of these top 2 people from Ben Studio that left complaining that Days Gone 2 got rejected. Get over it. Get the fuck over it, guys. It's been years. Get over it. Move on. And then finally, we have that Project Gummy Bears that PlayStation spun off from Bungie and brought internally because they saw something in it, which is apparently a mix of something like an action game, a MOBA, a social sim. I have no idea what to make of this project. But apparently
PlayStation
people
Home.
no, it's like a fantasy science fiction kind of thing from what they describe. This
Ew,
strangely
I
enough,
don't.
this is the one from Bungie that people say is the best thing internally. That they have the most confidence in being really good. So I'm going that doesn't mean dick to me, by the way, because there are people internally that probably are saying Fair Games looks really good, and I'm going, yeah, sure. Okay.
I mean, people were saying Concord was looking good. Probably.
Exactly. That's why I don't believe it.
I don't want
I'm like again, your instincts fucking suck about
I
about these
don't.
live services.
I don't want to buy any of this shit, Adam. If this is all that I'm getting for the next few years, my PS5 is just going to be sitting in dust,
Oh no,
unfortunately.
I'm gonna be, dude. When Death Stranding 2 and Ghost of Tsushima 2 come out, I'm gonna be having the fucking time of my life with those.
Okay, no, Ghost of Tsushima 2 for sure. I'll play. Okay, actually, no, it won't be in dust because
It's
I
not
know
as
there's still stuff in my
yes,
library that I
that's
have
what
yet
I
to touch. That I
well.
have yet to touch.
It's
But
not just that. It's not as dire because I see all these fucking clickbaity thumbnail shit where they go, oh well, Sony's doomed. It's like, dude, Sony's not doomed. They may have had a really bad few years with this live service thing, and they need to make some serious changes internally, but they're not doomed.
well, to be fair,
Not at all.
But to be fair, from just Sony in general, like as a whole company, from what I hear, they treat all their products like luxury items.
Exactly. Yes.
That's why they're all very pricey. And it's the reason why
Yeah.
their other departments struggle. But yet PlayStation is probably like one of their biggest reasons why they're still around
It is
still.
the it is the reason why they're still a big money maker. It's
Yes.
PlayStation.
Yes, that's literally a lot of their money comes from and why they're fucking still standing. So no,
Yeah.
Sony's not going anywhere.
No,
No.
I mean, and they have. Again, I said this last time with the showcase. I know they have shit in the works that's gonna really impress me. Like Ghost, I have no doubt in my mind that Ghost of Tsushima 2 is gonna be really good, at bare minimum, really good. I
I
have
don't
no
want
doubt in my mind that Death Stranding 2 is gonna be fascinating.
I don't want to go to Tsushima too, you know. I want
I
something
would
new
rather they
from them.
work on a new IP or Sly Cooper, but I know that's what they're working on. So dude, I'll take it at this point. Like with everything that's been going on with these live services, I'll take it. It's
Yeah,
like
fine, fine,
I'll
fine.
take it. It's like complaining about Astrobot. I'll take it. Shit.
If they really want to win my heart with a live service, make PlayStation All Stars 2.
This
Please,
is so
please.
this transitions nicely to our final section where you, Richard, are going to pitch me. I'm going to pitch you, and you're going to pitch me some live services.
Okay, okay, here.
What live services would we find acceptable from PlayStation?
PlayStation All Stars 2. That look. I know the original PlayStation All Stars had had a it's I know it's not entirely bad. I mean, it does have issues like only being able to kill your opponents with your specials and also the lack of like I guess first party IPs at the time. Well, I mean there were some, but I mean there were a bunch of third party stuff in
There
there
was
too.
enough. There was
It-
enough.
There was enough, but the lack of Crash and Spyro not being present at the time that
Well,
really that obviously that was difficult because apparently Activision wanted a
Activision.
ton of money for it. But if they were able to get them into Astrobot, I mean, I feel like it shouldn't be too hard now.
Fuck, they
And
were in
then
Playroom.
yes, it shouldn't be too hard now. And then on top of that,
Or yeah,
the
Spyro
PS
was in Playroom. That's right.
and on top of that, the fact that during the PS4 era they were able to establish like a few more IPs like Horizon
Mhm.
and freaking Ghost of
Bloodborne,
Tsushima,
Ghost of Tsushima.
Bloodborne. Uh, we got. I mean, there were some from the same franchises still, but I mean, there were some new characters that they could add. Like I don't know, like I wouldn't mind they put
The
Atreus in
Last
there.
Atreus. You could have Trico from The Last Guardian. You
Yes,
could have Cat from Gravity Rush.
have
You could.
have okay, have a Delsim from Infamous Second Son. I know. I hope people haven't forgotten about that game. I know it feels like people have forgotten about that game since it's been what a decade already since that game came out. But gosh damn, I love Delsim. I
I have
love
a
Delsim.
dream. I have a dream about Infamous coming back in the form of a it has to do with a young woman in Japan. Like
Okay,
if I were to create the concept for an Infamous, I would take advantage of Sucker Punch, with their knowledge of Japan from Ghost of Tsushima. I would have it be set in Tokyo or something.
no, yeah,
That would be awesome having an Infamous set in Japan or like modern like South Korea or something. That'd be fucking dope. I would love
yes,
that.
yes. But going back to PlayStation All Stars 2, yes, you guys can make it. You guys have Spider-Man for crying out loud. Oh my gosh. Like literally. I think they have a big enough roster enough to rival even Smash at this point. Maybe not super big. I mean, yeah, they can put in some third-party stuff in there.
Oh man,
Or
After
probably
Astrobot, they could do it.
yeah, they can do it. I'm like, just do it already. Who cares if you're gonna rip off Smash? Just if who cares if it's gonna be like I guess similar gameplay style, like knocking the opponent off the stage. Who cares? Okay,
Yeah,
you guys have seen how big even Smash is as an esports already. But they all know about it already. Like literally, there's money sitting there for you guys. Heck, if there's enough of a following for PlayStation All Stars 2, go ahead, turn it into a circuit or something. I don't know, put it in Evo. I guarantee you, even a lot of people that play Smash would play it as well because there's plenty of like platform fighters that even Smash players are even playing or giving a chance.
I think
Some
you could
even
even get away with making not necessarily Smash. I think you could get away with making a 2D, a 2 point or a 2D fighter like a la
yes,
Street Fighter or Mortal Kombat. Obviously not as
yeah,
violent as Mortal Kombat, but I think you could. This is the thing with the lack of creative vision over there. I think somebody with a more creative vision would be willing to get weird with the Sony
yes,
franchises that they have.
yes, and also another live service IP. Look, I know Twisted Metal got canceled, but that one really made the most sense.
Yes.
My gosh, I mean, they're gonna give it a battle pass. I know they would. They'd give it a battle pass. They're probably gonna make it as grindy. I don't know, but I don't know.
To be
At
fair, the
least
battle pass in Helldivers 2 is not particularly grindy.
okay, okay. Just as long as they don't make it too grindy and fun, I'm pretty sure people can still play it. Or if you're not gonna, or if you're too scared, or the very least, if you really do want to do multiplayer games, just put it in as a mode in some of the single player games.
Sure.
I'm fine with that. Like Last of Us, the first one, still people still play factions
Yes,
this day.
Factions 2 should have just been a mode in Last of
Yes,
Us Part 2.
just do that. Oh my gosh.
Or Ghost of Tsushima Legends, which was really good, which was way better than it had any right to be.
I never got a chance to play that,
That was a
unfortunately.
shockingly good multiplayer mode. I had a lot of fun with that,
That
playing with some friends.
yeah.
That was so good. I hope they bring that back for
Oh,
Ghost of Tsushima
oh.
2.
Okay, okay. Now that we're on the topic of live services, sorry, I'm holding you back from you saying your
No,
stuff,
no, no, go
but
for it.
when you said earlier that you can ask ChatGPT what games make more sense for PlayStation to make as a live service,
Yes.
I literally typed it in.
What'd you get?
I literally said, "What are some acceptable IPs that PlayStation's core audience would accept as a live service game?" And this is what ChatGPT said. For PlayStation's core audience, which traditionally values single-player narrative-driven experiences, transitioning some of their popular intellectual properties into live service games can be tricky. Oh, ChatGPT knows, and it says, however, if executed well, certain IPs could appeal to this audience as live service titles. Here's some that could potentially work: Horizon,
Yep.
Last of Us,
Yep.
Ghost of Tsushima,
Yep.
Killzone,
Yep.
Twisted Metal,
Yep.
SOCOM,
Yep.
Gran Turismo,
Yep. Well, they already
Resist.
do. They do that, to be fair, already.
Well, yeah, Resistance,
Yep.
Bloodborne.
I mean,
Uh,
Bloodborne already has a limited type of multiplayer in it, but
uh,
I wouldn't want Bloodborne as a live service technically.
Uncharted.
That had
They
a
put,
multiplayer mode that was okay,
but but here's the interest. But it says Uncharted could offer a treasure hunting live service experience with co-op raids, competitive multiplayer, and
ooh,
episodic content updates, exploring new locations and mysteries.
that could be that actually. ChatGPT's onto something.
What
that
the fuck?
I could see that actually being pretty cool. That could
ChatGPT.
be the actual version of fair games that makes sense. Where you're
Okay.
stealing from a cave but you have to fight other people. That
Yes.
makes way more sense to me being greedy treasure hunters than this eat the rich stealing from the capitalist pigs bullshit that Fair Games is doing.
Nah, before it goes to Tsushima, it's saying expanding that. It says so. It already introduced a co-op multiplayer mode.
Yes,
So then
Legends.
it says expanding that into a live service game with frequent new missions, classes, gear, and large-scale battles set in
Hmm.
feudal Japan could appeal to fans of both PvE and PvP content.
Yep.
And then for Bloodborne, it just says PvP arenas, consistent updates to lore and environments could attract Soulsborne fans looking for a more persistent world.
Uh, I don't know. I would push back against that, but
Okay, yeah,
there you
that
go. Chat GPT created a more compelling live service with that Uncharted idea than anything I have seen from PlayStation this entire generation, as far as first party goes.
I just told it to keep going, and now Okay, okay. After I'm done saying this, then you can
Okay.
go. Okay, okay. But it's listing. It's saying. Okay, so the other titles. Oh gosh, damn it! This thing's going off
Why
ham.
don't you just send me the list once once we're done with it?
How the fuck? Okay,
Let's
okay.
let's
Let's okay.
let's
You know
let's
what? Say what you gotta say, and I'll share with you some of the good stuff I've seen here,
Okay,
and then
okay.
yeah, I'll share you the list. I'll send you the list.
So I'm gonna try to sell you on 3 live services, Richard. And I'm curious what you would think of. And I think you're a good test bed because you're somebody that is like no for this whole you're probably more no about this live service thing than even I am. Because I'm willing to give some of these a chance, but you're like no. So this is an idea that I had from Astrobot. What if they made a trivia board game with PlayStation characters? Like, instead of like, make it like Mario Party, but instead of mini games, you have it be trivia questions, and you can have your little avatars on the map be the certain characters in a cartoonish form, or maybe just have it be a mix of trivia and mini games. Just
Turn it
something small like that.
turn it into a Little Big Planet title.
You think Little Big Planet would be better?
Make it Sackboy themed. It makes more sense.
I don't know. I,
Sackboy is family friendly.
Yeah, but all the turning. Let's say they're like chibi versions of the PlayStation mascots.
Okay, that could work
If
too.
you ran around with like a little cartoon Kratos or a little cartoon Nathan Drake or a little cartoon, or it's already a cartoon, but if you ran around with an Astrobot or a Ratchet or a Sly Cooper, something like that, or if you had just blank avatars and you could unlock skins for them or something, because they gotta have some kind of live service element to it. But
I mean, to me, it just makes more sense as a Little Big Planet title because the Little Big Planet outfits that they have for their PlayStation mascots for them, and then on top of that, I don't know, just I don't know if they want to rip off Mario Party with it, go for it.
I
I
would
mean,
say Little Big Planet would work if we didn't already see with Sackboy: A Big Adventure. It didn't really sell all that well. So I would say Little Big Planet has been replaced by Astrobot at this point.
I hope not.
As the I don't think Sackboy is ever coming back unless as a
No, no,
reference to
no,
Astrobot.
no, no, please don't get don't.
I'm just being a realist here. I don't think Sackboy has ever come. I think he's been retired.
No, don't let Sackboy go. I love my boy Sackboy.
He's I really like his solo game. Has It was very underappreciated. I really like A Big Adventure, but I just think that ship has sailed. And I'm honestly with Astrobot, I'm okay with that because we have something better with Astrobot, in my opinion. But I think a trivia board game with little chibi versions of the PlayStation characters could be actually really fun.
Okay.
I just have an idea in my head of like that. And you can have different boards. You can unlock different boards. You have like a spooky mansion themed board. You have a jungle board. You have a, I don't know, like a flying around or walking on like a giant birthday cake or something. I don't know, something weird like that. But I'm also I've also come up with these in the attempt to actually like what would be successful, what would make money. And I know that's not
Okay.
everything, but I'm trying to blend, something that's creatively interesting with money.
Mm-hmm.
What will actually be
Okay.
financially profitable? And I just don't. I like your idea of a Little Big Planet trivia board game, but I just don't see it making lots of money. Unlike something that's weird, like a trivia with little chippy characters. Because those fucking Jackbox games sell really well, and then some of the other
Okay.
trivia games sell really well. I just think a fun little
Oh,
trivia board game could be
I just
fun
thought of another
with
one.
PlayStation IP.
Okay, okay. I thought of another one, but finish saying what you gotta say
Okay.
first before I share.
Well, I'm just so you don't lose your train of thought. What would it be?
What if they make their own Mario Maker, but Little Big Planet?
Isn't that already? That already is kind of Little Big Planet, though.
No, no, but I know they did that with the level design thing in Little Big Planet too,
Right,
but
but that's
bring it back. Like I don't know. I don't know, maybe they could maybe have people.
that's already Little Big Planet, though. The level maker thing.
Okay, yes. Okay, yes. But what if they do it for 3D? I'm pretty sure they can do it something for 3D Little Big
Oh,
Planet.
making it like a make your own Sackboy a Big Adventure levels.
Yes.
Uh,
I know that would be tough, but I
I
mean,
don't know.
if they can get it to work with, I don't know, games like Dreams,
No,
maybe?
Dreams
I don't know.
bombed. Dreams did so poorly.
Rest in peace, Dreams.
That was
Okay.
one that was a live service that had potential, and Sony just fucked that up completely. And again, that speaks into why I think their instincts regarding live services is terrible. Because
Okay,
if they had
okay.
good live service instincts, Dreams would have been on PC the minute it released in early access,
Okay.
and it
Okay.
never went to PC. Never.
Okay. Yeah, but regardless, I'm pretty sure didn't the Little Big Planet servers go down? Like for the level
Yeah,
design stuff?
they're dead. Yeah.
They might as well just bring it back and have people make levels. I don't know.
Again, I just think Little Big Planet. You're really like hooked on Little Big Planet. That's like a
I'm
funny.
sorry. I like Sackboy. I
I
want
like
my boy
Sackboy too,
Sackboy
but
back.
I just
I
don't.
didn't I didn't get to experience Little Big Planet 1 and 2, and
I have
unfortunately
Astrobot
3
now. I do not
and
need
unfortunately
Sackboy.
Little Big Planet 3 was buggy that me and my brother couldn't even play it. And it had good ideas too.
I still can't believe that was from the same developer as Sackboy: A Big Adventure, because I had a lot of skepticism about Big Adventure because of Sumo's involvement. But man, they really proved me wrong with Big Adventure. I think Big Adventure is really fucking good.
Yeah, but Big Planet 3, it was like it had it had it had a lot going for it, and they
It did.
released it in a buggy state, and I couldn't even
Yeah.
me and my brother, we were stuck on the loading screen. We couldn't even I was sad. I was sad about that one. I didn't get to experience that one.
So
And I'm
my
still mad.
the second game that I want to pitch you is obviously it's PlayStation Home, which to me that the fact that they never did this when they had PSVR 2 coming out, it just you had a killer. You could have had a genuine competitor to Second Life. You could have had one with PlayStation Home. It didn't need to be this lavishly expensive thing. You could have literally just made it a social simulator. And I think it would have made a fucking killing at the tail end of the pandemic or something. Like I mean, they couldn't have predicted COVID, obviously, but I think during the pandemic they really should have looked into like how much Second Life exploded and been like, maybe we need to do something like that. And it wouldn't be trend chasing because they fucking did it first. That was way ahead of its time.
Mhm.
And they just and it's not even like they need to reinvent PlayStation Home. They could have literally just brought it back and been, hey, you know, you get your own apartment, you get your own communities, you go fucking bowling, you can go watch Sony presentate. You could have had it be a wonderful marketing opportunity for PlayStation games that are coming out. Have a little event inside of PlayStation Home. Have a theater where you get to watch the showcases and state of plays. Just the possibilities are just fucking endless for a new PlayStation Home. And the fact that Sony never did it is frustrating to this very day, especially with VR. When they needed killer software for PSVR 2 to make that thing work. And if fucking Astrobot wasn't going to do it, then it needed to be PlayStation Home. Not fucking Horizon. It needed to be PlayStation Home. And again, this speaks to PlayStation's complete lack of vision as far as making a unique initiative for live services. If I was in charge of that, that would have been the first fucking thing I would have looked into. And been like, how quickly can we get a team together for PlayStation Home? What is Sony London doing? Oh, a fucking PvE fantasy game? No, get them off of that. Go work on PlayStation Home. You made PlayStation Home. Do it again. Do it better this time. Do it bigger, do it better. And the fact that they didn't do it is it's like
Yeah, that I would be sold on. I would be sold on.
and then the possibility of making money from that, it's like it just it speaks for itself what you could do to make money from that. Just make it free to play PlayStation Home again. and just sell your shit with like skins and apartment
That-
shit. And what you could have had a whole section where you have in your apartment a section dedicated to your trophies, have those sync in from your PlayStation account, and have those be like where you could show off your trophy collection in your apartment to your friends, or some shit like that. Like what they're trying to do with that stupid PlayStation Stars thing that they still haven't brought as a native app to PS5. What the fuck?
I don't know what the
So
fuck.
that's so frustrating. I hate
Okay.
this is like an exercise in total frustration for me.
Okay. Okay. Yeah,
And
that I would buy.
and then
One.
my final game that I want to pitch to you. This is something that I had in mind because I went on a spree on like ChatGPT as well, where I was like, ChatGPT, make me live services that actually sound cool. One of them that they came up with on my end was a horror first person shooter. And they could have a campaign because this is something that PlayStation is sorely lacking. They don't have any horror. This is something that's lacking in general in the AAA market, or like horror first person shooters that aren't Resident Evil. And I'm not talking about like the survival horror kind of. I'm talking about something like Fear, or I get survival horror. I don't know why I didn't say no survival horror, but something like Fear, where you go in with a SWAT team or a special forces team, and you realize you go into an apartment and you realize something fucked up is going on, like a tactical first-person shooter with a survival horror edge to it, or make it like Condemned Criminal Origins, which is a very underappreciated franchise, and then you have that, and you have a multiplayer suite to go along with that. Update it with free maps. I don't know. I guess there's some microtransactions in there if you feel like the fucking base game selling that for $70 isn't going to be enough. Just make a horror first person shooter. Like, and you have one too in Resistance. It's right there. You have it. You don't need to make a new IP either. New IP would be nice. Make like a Fear successor. And you don't own Fear or Condemned Criminal Origins. Make a successor to those or something. People fucking love horror games. I guarantee you it would sell like crazy if you were to make a new survival horror IP.
Uh, yeah, I can see that. I can see that be a good
And
being
not just
good.
Until Dawn, for God's sakes, where you're remaking that before you're remaking Bloodborne. Holy fuck.
Oh my gosh.
Bloodborne
Okay,
is still
those
stuck at, this is a whole nother thing. Bloodborne is still stuck at sub 30 frames on PS4.
even on PS5.
Even on PS5, because they never released a native patch for it.
Gosh, damn it.
Get it together, guys. Jesus
Okay.
Christ.
Okay. Okay.
So so those are my three live services that three of the ones that I really am like passionate, like I think could really work. Because I know people really want Killzone. I don't really like Killzone outside of Killzone 2. So I personally wouldn't want that. They tried Twisted Metal, that's done. SOCOM, I would really like SOCOM, but I just don't trust that they would make it how it used to be. I think they would make like, oh, here's SOCOM Battle Royale, and it's like, no, it's not what I want.
Okay. Well, okay. So to close it off with ChatGPT stuff,
Hmm.
I got two more ideas that came up that sound kind of cool.
Okay.
It's the infamous one. I'm kind of a little skeptical around, but
Eh.
it's built around a world where players choose between good and evil paths. This moral choice system could evolve into a live service game where players align with different factions, engage in PvE and PvP conflicts, and unlock new powers with regular updates. A city-wide evolving environment akin to a superhero MMO RPG
So it's like
could keep
City
players
of
engaged long term.
Heroes.
I guess.
So it's
I've
basically
never played
City.
City.
It's City of. I have a one of my exes used to like love City of Heroes. So I City of Heroes with an infamous skin. I guess that could work, but that sounds like what they tried to with Spider-Man, the Great Web.
Oh yeah, but that's was that even finished? That's what I
No,
want to know.
that was in early stages. And I'm glad that never got off the ground just because I don't want I think Insomniac already focusing on the fucking Marvel shit is a shame, but it's
They're the Marvel studio at this point,
well they're the
unfortunately.
Marvel, mostly the Marvel studio. There's some Ratchet in there, but
Oh yeah, there's that Ratchet and Clank game they wanted to
Yeah,
release.
I don't
But
even know if that's
that's
coming out now after the layoffs, because I assume the people that got axed were at that Ratchet studio.
I hope that's the game. That game still comes out. Okay. Okay. Oh yeah, and then the other one, Wipeout. Why it could
Oh
work. The
yeah,
fast
that could
the
be good.
fast-paced the fast-paced futuristic anti-gravity racing of Wipeout could be revitalized as a live service game with new tracks, vehicles, and time-limited events with a focus on competitive racing and leaderboards. Regular updates could keep the community engaged. There.
Yeah, I'd buy that. That'd be
Yeah,
great. I'd play
I
that.
would have I
Wipeout.
would have yeah, I would have done that too.
I'm not even like
Absolutely.
super into racing games, but I would do that just for the. I would buy it just out of curiosity.
Or make Mod Nation Racers. Bring
No,
that
don't.
back.
No, don't go back to Mod Nation Racers.
Fine, Little Big Planet. I know we
I
were
mean, you
talking
could you
about
could
it.
probably make a fun little kart game with all the characters. And again, this is these ideas of like kart racers and PlayStation All Stars 2 and even the fucking trivia board game. It's like these are like long of given to consider like meme ideas. But at this point, I'm just like, why not? Why not? Like what's like what kind of what why aren't you getting weird with this? Why are you making the most boring live services you possibly can? The most like milk toast personality free live services you possibly can. And again, it's because they have no creative vision for their live service initiative. They just don't. Sorry, they don't. So I'm gonna leave with one final question with this. When do you think we're finally going to get the next slate of what's coming out next year? Because we only know of Death Stranding 2.
I mean, we have isn't there's a rumor supposedly next week, which I don't know. Rumors
Oh,
are
is it next
rumors.
week already for the state of
Yeah,
play?
rumors or that I saw a post saying a rumor saying like the week after the hardware presentation.
Because I know they have Tokyo Game Show, which was like shocking to see them coming back to Tokyo Game Show, but I assume that's because of Death Stranding 2. So I assume Death Stranding 2 will be at the state of play. I mean, makes sense, but again, it's modern PlayStation and they do just weird shit. But
Yes. I don't know. Maybe. It, I mean, I feel like September feels like a good time. I feel like September
yeah,
feels like a good time.
and
But
I know people are going to be mad that it's not a showcase, but again, I'm just going to say like if you don't have the material for a showcase, a proper showcase, don't do it. Just have it be state of play. I'm
and
fine
keep
with
their
that.
expectations low
Sure. I
because
don't
right
people a
now
lot of people
there's still PlayStation's still got to recover from everything. It's gonna take a while, unfortunately. We're gonna have droughts, maybe like
I don't know. I think
I give it another one more. I mean, we've had this has been the
no.
longest drought year.
I think 2025 is finally going to be I have a feeling that 2025 is finally going to be the point cuz they literally only have like 2 or 3 years left in the generation. So
Okay,
it's like chop chop, let's fucking go. So they have a ton of shit on in the pipeline right now cuz you have things from Sony, the things that we know about are things like the new IP from Sony Santa Monica. You have the original content from Bluepoint, whatever the fuck that means. You have the
Wolverine.
game from Ben Studio. You have the game from Neon Koi. You have fucking Fair Games. You have Death Stranding 2. You have the Horizon
Wolverine.
multiplayer game. Hmm?
Wolverine.
Well, oh fuck, that's right. You have Wolverine. You have
Spider-Man 3.
well the
But
Venom. I
that
was gonna say that Venom game that was in the leak, but I don't know if that's still going to happen. And
like point.
then
Okay, yeah, you are right. I mean,
Ghost
now
of
that I think
Tsushima
about it,
2. Fuck.
I mean, this year has been the longest drought for PlayStation. It's been the
I would say
longest drought.
2023 has been the worst. I would say 2023 was the worst one. 2023 we only got Spider-Man 2. That was
Oh,
really all we got as far as cuz everything else was just the fucking Horizon VR game that bombed. You had to buy a stupid headset to get it. And then you had that Firewall Ultra game that bombed on VR. You had MLB The Show, which it's like MLB, okay. And then that was kind of it until Spider-Man 2. That was really the only thing. And now 2024, like 2024, it's been fucking besides Astrobot, it's been fucking awful for first party. But second party stuff, I mean, they had Helldivers 2. I know it's not your thing, but I loved it.
I
They
mean, it's not
had
that it's not my thing. I just never bothered getting it
sure,
because it came out at the wrong time for
sure.
me.
They had Stellar Blade, which I wasn't super crazy about it, but it's done well for them. It's a new IP that people like. They had
What's that other one? The Souls like one?
Rise of the Ronin, which I Jesus Christ. That's going to be another one like the Order 1886 or Days Gone that has this weird like positive following that I just don't understand at all because I think it's just a fucking shit game. But that was again, people liked it. It's fine, I guess. Really the only bad miss they've had this year that they themselves incubated, even if partially, was Concord. That was really the only thing. Everything else has been ranging from, as far as sales, like okay to massive success. And I think Astrobot is going to do really well for PlayStation. That could not have been timed better coming out.
Oh yeah,
That couldn't have been better timing for Astrobot.
He's the hero PlayStation needs.
He's the one that
he's our only hope.
Well,
a new hope.
It's amazing what the contrast is between something like Concord and Astrobot. It's like a night and day difference as far as just everything from design philosophy to business to financial to public reception to what it means to the hardcore PlayStation audience. It's like the yin and yang of PlayStation. It's so fucking weird how that was all timed out, especially with what ended up happening with Concord. But yeah, that's all. We've reached the end of our conversation with this. I had a lot of fun with this.
Oh yeah, totally.
For a spur of the moment thing, I think this turned out really fucking well.
Oh yeah, totally. Definitely did.
So
Definitely.
Yeah, I'm gonna go make some dinner now because I'm hungry.
Okay.
So thank you, Richard, for joining as always, man.
Can I say some last words?
Go for it.
All right. Go support Astrobot, guys.
Yes.
Go buy it. Go buy it now. Support Astrobot and let PlayStation know you want more games like that. Most importantly, also go support Sly Cooper as well. If you love Astrobot, you love PlayStation history, go support Sly Cooper. Go support Ape Escape, for crying out loud. Go into that whole PlayStation catalogs if you don't have access to the older consoles. Buy them. They're cheap. Yeah. Buy them. Support them.
It's $10. Isn't Sly Cooper $10?
Yes, it's $10.
Yeah, $10.
Go support them. Show PlayStation what they were really all about back then.
That's the only thing. I don't want to go off on another tangent. That's the only thing that's going to make them listen, is to hit them right in the fucking wallet. That's what happened with Concord.
Yes, and I'm glad those fucking those higher ups are fucking shitting in their pants right now. They deserve that. I'm sorry.
It's a humiliation that I'm glad happened.
It better have fucking shook them like an earthquake in the building. I hope they had woken up, seen the numbers, and been like, "Oh fuck!" Seriously, such an embarrassing moment, and I wouldn't be surprised if people decide to buy a bunch of copies of those and decide to bury them somewhere, just like they did with ET. I'd laugh if that happened.
I don't think that's gonna happen.
It's not gonna happen, but I'd laugh if it did.
So the last thing that I want to say before we sign off is, if Astrobot does not do well financially, I don't ever want to hear any more bitching ever again that PlayStation doesn't make games like they used to anymore. Because here it is. Here is a game that is very much in the spirit of the PS1 and the PS2 days. Go out and fucking buy it. I don't even care if you don't have time to play it right now. Buy it. This is the only way that this version of PlayStation is going to listen. They don't care about your build the list shit. They don't care about the fucking fan accounts that at them about Killzone and Resistance and Parappa the Rapper. They don't give a fuck. You know what they're gonna give a fuck about? Money. You wanna give them a message? Buy Astrobot. Push that shit to like 5 million copies. They'll listen. Trust me. They will listen. They'll make more.
Support it. He's the
Support
hero
it.
we need right now. He's the hero.
Support it.
And if he saves PlayStation, oh boy.
There's no
It'll
saving
be
PlayStation, but it's a nice little.
no.
Astrobot's a nice little reminder of what PlayStation once was. I'm fucking hungry. I'm gonna go. Richard, it's been a pleasure always.
I have work anyway, so
Oh Jesus! All right, so I'll let you go so you can get ready for work. And thank you so much, everyone, for watching. And I will catch you all later. See ya.
later. Bye.